Hey VC, it's Jonathan. How you all doing today? Hope everybody's having a great day, enjoying these early days of summer. I just came back from a quick trip to New York City, down there to see my son, grandson, family, friends, whatever. But I did manage to carve out a couple of times, a couple of days, two trips to different record stores, and that was sort of fun. So last Friday, me and my buddy made it down to Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and I sort of typed in to my phone, record stores, Williamsburg, and up popped this place called Rough Trade. I didn't really know much about it, so we went into Rough Trade, and huge place. My only disappointment was that about 90% of the store was new records, represses, obviously, lots of new stuff. But they did have a small room of used records. So I went over there first because I'm a bit all about the used stuff. And I'm digging through, and I found, for me, has been a grail. I know that your word is used much too much, but for me, this is a grail I've been looking for years now, trying to find an original or an older pressing in good condition, which has really been hard. So I was super excited when I was going through there and I saw John Mayall Blues Breakers, the Beano album with John Mayall, with Eric Clapton. And as soon as I felt it, I said, oh, this is not a U.S. pressing, this is a European pressing. You can see the cover, that lightweight cover. On Decca Records, and, you know, it's a classic album. I've always wanted a nice one. I know they have newer pressings, but I was always looking for an original or an older one. This is one, I couldn't find this on Discogs. I found a similar label, but not the exact same label. You can see that, the Decca. From what I can gather, it's like 1974 repress. A similar label, just has a little different marking on it. I think it's 74 UK pressing. Record was super clean. And even though I spent more than I normally do on these kinds of records, I spent $15. I was real happy with it, and I played it, and it just sounds great. Everything I expected it to be, I remembered when I used to have it. So, real happy with that. A grail. So after I also on this album, besides Eric Clapton, also has John McVie, later of Fleetwood Mac. So then I went looking through the rest of the store, and I was looking at the newer represses, and I saw something else, which was another grail of mine, something else I've been looking for a long time. I've sort of given up trying to find an original in decent condition that's reasonably priced, but I found this nice repress, and it's Dr. John Grease Grease, his first album. As it says here, the debut album from Dr. John the Night Tripper, a psychedelic Mardi Gras fusion, released on Atco Records in 1968. There's a little more. I spent $25 on this, which is a lot for me. But also, when I looked in Discogs, I couldn't find this exact label of the repress. I think it's a European version. It's sort of hard to tell. But again, brand new, plays beautifully. So happy to get it. Two more off my list that I can stop obsessing over, trying to find the original Dr. John. Grease Grease, great record. Very funky. If you don't know it and you like the funk, it's great. Actually, I got to see Dr. John in 1969, about a couple weeks before Woodstock. We went to the Atlantic City Pop Festival, and he came out dressed up in all his regalia with his cape and his feathers. Great stuff. So then, on my last day in New York, I read about this place called the Jazz Record Center, which is on West 26th Street in Manhattan. And it's not on ground floor. It's in an office building on the 8th floor. So you take an elevator up to the 8th floor. There's all offices. You go in there, open the door. The first room was all books on jazz. Second room was mostly CDs, and then the third room was all LPs. Mostly used. He did have a big section of new stuff he got in, but mostly used. I found some things. I mean, nothing earth-shattering, but stuff I really love to have in my collection. The first one is the Charlie Parker sides, Norman Grant's Jam Sessions from 1952. It's a double LP. Really, I'm as close to mint as I'm going to find. Recorded 1952 and features players such as obviously Charlie Parker, but Benny Carter, Johnny Hodges, Ben Webster, Flip Phillips, Barney Kessler, Oscar Peterson, Ray Brown. I mean, you know, how bad could it be? 2-record set, recorded in 1952. So really happy to add this to my collection. This is a release from 1974, I think it said. 76. But can never have enough Charlie Parker in your collection. So real excited to get that, add that to my group. The other one I got was another compilation. And this is the other saxophone genius of the era, is John Coltrane. And this is the other Village Vanguard tapes. This is from 1961. And besides John Coltrane, features Eric Dolphy, McCoy Tyner, Jimmy Garrison, Elvin Jones, Ahmad Abdul Malik. Recorded Village Vanguard, New York City, November 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. 1961. So again, 2-record set. This would be more traditional John Coltrane before he went into his mysticism and more free jazz. But amazing, amazing. So really glad to have those two into my collection. And then I was leaving. I wondered, do they have any blues? Because I'm a big blues hound. They had a small section of blues. And I've seen this here and there. And again, never in this clean of a condition. And I'm glad to get the Alexis Corners All-Stars Blues Incorporated. This is originally recorded in 1964. If you don't know Alexis Corner, he was a British bluesman, sort of like John Mayall in the way where he collected other artists gravitated towards him. So in his early bands, he originally had Charlie Watts was in one of his bands, Jack Bruce, Ginger Baker, Mick Jagger, Graham Bond. They'd all gone through his different groups. So this is an album from '64. I don't know much about the people in the band, but we'll see. I haven't given it a spin yet. I just got it cleaned up yesterday. And yeah, looking forward to that. Alexis Corners Blues, All-Stars Blues Incorporated. So that was my little trip down to New York. I stopped in one other store on West 72nd Street. Can't remember the name now. Again, a couple steps up. A lot of used records. Prices, it was my first day in the city, so the price is a little shock compared to what I'm used to here in Maine. I didn't buy anything. The only thing that really tempted me was a Louis Prima album they had later in his career because, what's-her-face, his singer, Louis Prima and Keely Smith was no longer in the band. But what appealed to me is that the album was signed by Louis Prima and his saxophone player, Sam Batera. They wanted $30 for it, and I just couldn't talk myself into it, so I let it sit. That's the way it goes. You can't win them all. So I had a great time in New York, got to pick up a couple albums, and that's it. Hopefully everybody's having a great time, finding good stuff. Love watching your videos. I want to thank all my subscribers. I'm well over 300 now, which I never thought would happen. So thanks to everybody who takes the time out of their day to watch my videos. And until next time, peace.